You steal bread in ancient Egypt. Guards spot you within seconds. Your hand gets marked for punishment. This isn't a myth. This happened. Egyptian law had brutal, exact penalties. Steal from a temple? Death sentence. Steal from a neighbor? Different story. The punishment depended on what you took and who you took it from. Let's go back 3,000 years to the Nile Valley, 1200 BCE. Deir el-Medina, a village of workers. These men built royal tombs nearby, and they left us their court records. Thousands of papyrus fragments survived intact. Egyptologists still study them today. These records show exactly how theft worked. First, someone had to notice. Egyptian communities were small and watchful. Everyone knew everyone's possessions. A missing tool got noticed fast. So did missing grain or jewelry. The accuser brought the case forward, not to police.
Egypt had none. Instead, cases went to local courts, called kenbet, run by town elders. These weren't professional judges. They were foremen, scribes, respected workers, people who knew the accused personally. This made trials deeply personal. Reputation mattered as much as evidence. A trusted worker got more leniency. A known troublemaker got none. Witnesses were called to testify, under oath, invoking the gods. Lying under oath meant divine punishment, so most witnesses told the truth. Once guilt was established, punishment followed fast, and Egyptian punishment escalated by severity. Minor theft meant restitution first. You paid back double, sometimes triple. The papyrus records show exact ratios. Steal one item, repay 2 or 3. This wasn't mercy. It was economics. Egypt needed workers, not empty villages. Executing every thief made no sense. So minor crimes got fines and labor. Beatings were common for repeat offenders. Recorded cases mention up to 100 blows, delivered with a wooden rod, across the back, shoulders, or feet. This sounds savage by modern standards, but it left the person alive, able to return to work immediately. Now, here's where things changed completely. Steal from a temple, and everything escalated. Temples held Egypt's most sacred wealth. Gold statues, ceremonial objects, offerings to gods. Stealing from a god was different. It wasn't just crime, it was blasphemy. Egyptians believed gods punished thieves directly, through disease, misfortune, or sudden death. So temple theft carried earthly punishment too. The Papyrus Salt 124 documents one case. A foreman named Peneb, accused repeatedly, of stealing temple stone and tomb goods. The list of charges against him is long. Theft, violence, even tomb robbery. Tomb robbery was the worst crime imaginable. Royal tombs held pharaohs' bodies and treasure. Egyptians believed the afterlife depended on these goods. Robbing a tomb doomed the pharaoh's soul. This made tomb robbery a capital offense. The Tomb Robbery Papyri record actual trials. Dated to the reign of Ramesses IX, around 1100 BCE, tomb robbing surged. Egypt's economy was weakening at the time. Desperate people turned to grave robbing. Officials caught and interrogated dozens of suspects. Confessions were extracted under torture. The bastinado, beating the soles of feet, was standard practice for serious crimes. Confirmed thieves faced execution methods. Impalement was used for the worst offenders. Others were burned alive as punishment. Burning held special religious weight. Egyptians believed fire destroyed the soul completely. No afterlife, no eternal existence, nothing. This was the ultimate punishment imaginable, worse than death itself to Egyptians, because death wasn't the end for them. Your soul traveled to the afterlife, guided by rituals, spells, and preserved organs. Mummification protected your body for eternity. Destroy the body, and eternity ends too. So, execution methods reflected this belief system. Drowning denied proper burial rites entirely. The body was never recovered or preserved. This condemned the soul to wander forever. Egyptians feared this more than pain. Physical suffering ended. Spiritual punishment didn't. Now let's look at smaller, everyday theft. Because most theft wasn't tomb robbing, most theft was survival, not greed. Deir el-Medina workers weren't paid in coins. Egypt didn't have currency yet. Workers were paid in grain rations, delivered monthly by government officials. Sometimes those deliveries were late. Papyrus records document actual strikes. Workers refused to build tombs unpaid. This happened under Ramesses III's reign. Around 1159 BCE, wages stopped arriving. Workers marched to nearby temples demanding food. This is the earliest recorded labor strike
in documented human history. When wages failed, theft became common. Hungry workers took grain from storehouses. Courts often showed unusual leniency here. Judges understood desperation, not just crime. Some cases ended with simple repayment. No beating, no severe penalty at all. Context always shaped the final sentence. Now compare this to elite theft. When officials or nobles stole, things differed. Corruption among tax collectors was documented. The Papyrus Harris records such abuses. Officials skimmed grain meant for temples, or falsified records to hide theft. These crimes often went unpunished for years. Power protected the powerful, even then. Only when scandals became public did courts act, and punishment for elites still differed. Exile was common instead of execution, removing them from power, not from life. Commoners rarely received this option. Class shaped justice constantly in Egypt. Let's talk about women accused of theft. Egyptian women had real legal rights. They could own property and testify in court. This made female defendants treated similarly to men. Papyrus records show women facing standard penalties: restitution, fines, or physical punishment. Gender didn't soften Egyptian law much. Now, what about children who stole? Records mention youthful offenders occasionally. Punishment scaled down for younger offenders, often just a beating, not harsher penalties. Community shame played a role too. Egyptian villages were small, tightly connected. Everyone would know what you did. This social pressure often mattered more than law. Reputation loss could last a lifetime. Now let's discuss theft between neighbors directly. This was the most common theft type.
Livestock theft appears constantly in records. Goats, cattle, and donkeys were valuable targets. Animals represented wealth and labor capacity. Losing one hurt a family significantly. Courts took livestock theft very seriously. Repayment often meant multiple animals returned. Sometimes the thief's own livestock was seized. Tool theft was equally significant economically. Bronze tools were expensive and hard to replace. Stealing tools crippled someone's ability to work. This made tool theft a serious economic crime. Punishment often matched livestock theft severity. Now, how did Egyptians prevent theft beforehand? Seals and locks existed even then. Storage jars were sealed with clay stamps. Breaking a seal proved tampering occurred. This made evidence collection straightforward. Doors used simple wooden peg locks. Not sophisticated, but functional deterrents. Guards patrolled wealthy areas and temples regularly.
Village watchmen protected grain storehouses too. These measures reduced opportunistic theft somewhat, but desperate people found ways around them. Now here's something surprising about Egyptian justice. Confession mattered enormously in every trial. Egyptians believed lying invited cosmic punishment. This came from their concept of Ma'at. Ma'at meant truth, order, and cosmic balance. Lying disrupted Ma'at and angered the gods. This belief made false confessions surprisingly common. People confessed rather than risk cosmic punishment, even when evidence was weak or absent. This complicates how we read these records. Some confessions likely came from fear, not guilt. Egyptologists still debate this today. Now let's examine punishment for false accusations. Egypt punished false accusers too. If you accused someone falsely, you faced their punishment. This is called talionic justice, mirror punishment. It discouraged frivolous or malicious accusations. People thought carefully before accusing neighbors. This created a strange kind of fairness. Both sides risk something in every trial. Now, what about theft during festivals? Egypt held frequent religious festivals yearly. Crowds gathered, distracted, celebrating together. This created opportunities for pickpocketing. Records mention theft spikes during major festivals. The Opet festival in Thebes drew thousands. More people meant more opportunity for crime. Temple guards increased security during these events, but theft still happened regularly, regardless. Now, let's discuss punishment severity over time. Egyptian law wasn't static across 3,000 years. Early kingdoms had harsher, simpler punishments. Later periods developed complex legal procedures. The New Kingdom, 1550 to 1070 BCE, saw the most detailed court records survive.
This is why Deir el-Medina matters so much. It falls squarely within this documented era. Later periods, under foreign rule, changed things further. Persian and Greek influence altered Egyptian law. Ptolemaic Egypt blended Greek legal concepts in. Punishments became more standardized, less religious. The old fear of divine punishment faded slowly. Roman rule later changed everything again. Roman law replaced most traditional Egyptian systems. By 30 BCE, old customs were disappearing fast. So thousands of years of tradition ended. Let's return to Paneb's case specifically. His trial reveals how power complicated justice. Paneb was a foreman, a position of authority. He allegedly bribed officials to avoid punishment. For years, his crimes went unpunished. Workers under him reported constant abuse. Violence, theft, and intimidation were common.
Eventually, accumulated complaints forced a real trial. The outcome of his final trial remains unclear. Some papyrus fragments are damaged or incomplete. This is common with ancient Egyptian records. Time destroyed much of what once existed. Egyptologists piece together fragments like puzzles. Sometimes conclusions remain permanently uncertain. This is the nature of ancient historical study. Now, how did theft affect Egyptian society overall? Theft threatened Ma'at, cosmic and social order. Every crime disrupted this delicate balance. Punishment restored balance, at least symbolically. This is why punishment felt so severe sometimes. It wasn't just about the stolen object, it was about maintaining universal order itself. Egyptians saw chaos as a genuine cosmic threat. Theft was one small piece of that fear. This explains punishments that seem excessive today. Context always matters when judging ancient societies. Now let's discuss specific legal terminology used. The Egyptian word for theft was awa. Different words existed for different theft types. Grand theft had separate terminology entirely. This shows legal sophistication most people underestimate. Egyptian law wasn't primitive or simplistic. It was detailed, structured, and deeply considered. Scribes trained for years to master these codes. Legal knowledge was a respected, valuable skill. Now, what happened to repeat offenders specifically? Egyptian records show escalating punishment patterns. First offense meant fines or restitution. Second offense meant physical punishment added. Third offense often meant permanent consequences. Branding marked repeat offenders permanently. This warned others about their history instantly. Reintegration into society became nearly impossible then. This created a permanent underclass eventually. Some turned to further crime out of desperation. This cycle repeated across Egyptian history. Modern criminal justice faces similar challenges today. Some problems transcend thousands of years. Now let's discuss theft in royal contexts specifically. Stealing from the pharaoh directly was rare. Security around royalty was extremely tight. Palace guards, trained soldiers, constant surveillance existed. Few dared attempt theft at this level. Those who did faced immediate, severe consequences. There was no lengthy trial process here. Royal theft often meant instant execution. The pharaoh's word functioned as absolute law. No appeals, no negotiations, no leniency possible. This level of theft essentially never happened successfully. Security made it nearly impossible to attempt.
Now, let's summarize what we've learned overall. Egyptian theft punishment varied by many factors. What you stole mattered enormously. Who you stole from mattered even more. Your social status shaped your treatment significantly. Context and circumstances influenced final judgments. Religious belief drove punishment severity constantly. Fear of cosmic consequences shaped human behavior. This wasn't just law. It was worldview. Egyptians lived inside a system of meaning where every action had cosmic weight attached. Stealing bread wasn't just hunger-driven action. It disrupted ma'at, however small the act. This belief shaped 3,000 years of Egyptian law, from simple villages to massive royal courts. The system evolved, but the core belief remained. Order mattered more than individual comfort. Balance mattered more than convenience. This is fundamentally different from modern thinking.
We separate law from religion mostly today. Egyptians never made that separation at all. Every theft was simultaneously crime and sin. This dual nature shaped every single punishment, from simple fines to horrific executions. The thread connecting them was always the same: restore balance, protect order, honor the gods. This is what stealing meant in ancient Egypt. Not just a crime against a person, a crime against the universe itself. And that's why the punishments felt so absolute. In a world where gods watched everything, nothing you stole was ever truly hidden.